Hey everyone, welcome back to today's video. Today we are going to be doing a Q&A here on my YouTube channel. If you guys are new, I am Tanner Holmes. I race outlaw karts and sprint cars all over the West Coast, and I am truly living my dream of just getting to be a race car driver. I'm trying to move up through the ranks. I'm trying to make it as far as I can, and I document all of it and put it on my YouTube channel. And here we have a community, we have a family of all of us have been together for, I've been shooting for a little over 3 years now, so it's been a long journey and it's been pretty fun. Like I said, today we are going to be doing a Q&A. A lot of you guys like to try and keep up with what I'm doing, and if I'm being honest, man, there just hasn't been a lot going on with myself. We didn't race this past weekend. I haven't been doing a whole lot of things racing related. Since during the winter with outlaw karts, I drive the QRC house cart. So that stays down at QRC in Red Bluff, California, which is about 3 hours south of me. So unfortunately, I really don't get to be at QRC much. We're not doing anything during the week to work on race cars. The sprint cars kind of put away for now. We don't have a lot to do there either. But as soon as we do, or anything racing related, I'm gonna definitely try to make some videos and give you guys as much content as I can during the winter, since it is a little bit slower for sure. But right now, I just got done watching the Hangtown 100. I got a little bit of a break. The Focus A is up, and then the big A main event, 100 lapper. So I got enough time to shoot this Q&A. I will say I'm rooting for my buddy Logan CV. He's gonna start 12th. He's the high point guy for the Hangtown 100, so that's awesome. He's got some tough competition though, and Gio Selzy and Kyle Larson starting right next to him, and just the whole field is stacked. This is one of the biggest midget races of the year, so it'll be exciting to see who comes out on top. If you guys would like to be involved though with these Q&As, you guys can always send questions to my Instagram, or just kind of stay tuned. I'll always post when I'm gonna be doing them, and specifically, I went on my Instagram story, said, hey, drop questions for tomorrow's Q&A, and I also threw in like this emoji, and a bunch of people just blasted my Instagram. So I got tons and tons of fun questions to answer. So our first question, and one of the most popular ones asked, was, Tanner, what are your sprint car plans for next year? So we aren't really sure what we're gonna be doing exactly yet. A lot of what a team's plans for any race team, whether that's in sprint cars, outlaw cars, midgets, any different form of racing, you gotta kind of have a budget and what you can do. So right now I'm working on getting funding for our race team, getting as many marketing partners as possible, or any potential sponsors. So it really kind of just depends on that. Of course, like I said, we have a good number in our head of what we're gonna be able to do, but our goal is to get down to California a little bit more, run Silver Dollar, maybe some other tracks. You just got to really look at the schedules when they come out. And then also, we would like to go back up to Washington and run more up there, particularly at Skagit, run the Dirt Cup, Summer Nationals, all those big races, as well as still run some races in Oregon, like the Marvin Smith Speed Week, all that fun stuff. So we should have a pretty full schedule for sprint cars, have a few outlaw kart races mixed in there, and a bunch of fun stuff. In this Q&A, I got some interesting questions that I hadn't gotten before. Most of the time when I ask for people to send in stuff, I get the same question I've already answered in the previous 10 Q&As. So this one, I got actually like a lot of unique ones, so I'm gonna answer them. So someone asked, if you could race with any World of Outlaws team, which one would you choose and why? And I was thinking about this and I was like, man, this is a hard one because there's so many good outlaw teams. But if I had to narrow it down to 3, I think obviously if I were in the seat of the 15, the Tony Stewart Racing, Donnie Schatz ride, I mean, you can't go wrong there. That's obviously best of the best everything, just like every car on the Outlaw Tour. But Donnie Schatz's car, that would be obviously awesome to race for Tony Stewart. Then, if you were in the Napa Auto Parts number 49 for Casey Kane Racing, the car that Brad Sweet drives, that would also be a good choice. And then I would also probably pick like the Jason Johnson Racing number 41, driven by David Gravel. I mean, those 3, they were the top 3 in points, but if you had to pick, I mean, it's kind of hard. You could give a toss-up on which car is better on any given night. It really just, there's a lot of factors that play into it. But I thought that was pretty interesting because it made me think, there's really not a bad car on the Outlaw Tour. We know this nowadays. Everybody has best of the best equipment, so it really just depends on who's the best on that given night. This one was another question I realized I hadn't answered yet, and that is, are you gonna get your helmet painted? Yes, I am. I sent it off. I'm not gonna have it till next year just because it's kind of a busy time of the year for the helmet painters, but I sent it off to Poland Designs and I'm really, really excited to see what he does. I absolutely love his work and that's why I picked him, and it'll just be cool to see how it turns out. So we'll have it for sprint car season hopefully, and it's just gonna be really, really cool. My idea was to do kind of something with the carbon fiber, like don't paint the whole helmet, leave kind of the carbon fiber showing in some areas, maybe where like there would potentially be black on the helmet or whatever. So I don't know what it's gonna look like yet, but I know that Austin does really, really good work. Now this was also another super popular question. Is Carly gonna hop in the sprint? And if so, when is she gonna do it? So we wanna give Carly the same opportunities that I've given. Fortunate enough, I have very fair parents. It's hard to give that balance, of course, because, you know, I'm trying to go somewhere in racing and Carly's kind of trying to go somewhere in racing at the same time. And we're just a few years apart, so it's really, really tough to pick where we want to go on any given weekend. And Carly's got some great opportunities lately, so she really wants to go kart racing at Cyclin and do all that. So I think what the goal is at the end of this next season, Carly will be turning 14, and we're gonna give her some laps in the limited. I'm not saying we're taking her to the race or anything, but, you know, do what we did for me, and that is we went out to the local track and we were able to just burn some laps. I think that's the best thing for her. At least let her get in it and fire it up and kind of get that feeling. But if she wants to race the sprint car, that opportunity is on the table for her, and I'm excited to see what she can do with it. I mean, Carly's a gasser, and she's aggressive, so I think she'd be really, really good in a big car. Are you gonna get a sprint car wrap for next season, and if so, what is it gonna look like? Well, I think it's not gonna be super different than the one we have. My goal is to get another wrap. I'm not 100% positive on that. I still have to work with some people and see what we can make happen. With some of the stuff I've been learning outside of racing, and maybe this is something I realized I probably haven't even told you, but I've been doing a lot of studying on Adobe, how to use Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, and I kind of got my feet wet in that. So I'm gonna kind of work on starting, not designing my own cars, but just kind of playing around and see what I could come up with. Because my long-term goal would be to, you know how to design all my own merch and all my own cars, so then you don't have to pay someone else to do it. But it's also something I really, really enjoy because I just like to create stuff. So to answer the question, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a new wrap. I don't think it's gonna be insanely different, like we're not gonna change the color scheme, but I do think that, you know, we might have a little bit of a different design. Next question, are you gonna be running Roseburg this weekend? Yes, Roseburg has a massive race. They're probably one of their biggest ones. It's called the Vern Wheeler Senior Memorial / Turkey Shootout. They put it on every year for Thanksgiving, and this year it pays a whopping $2,100 to win. So one of the bigger kart paydays that, you know, the kart racing doesn't have a bunch of big races. I feel the micros have always had a lot more big ones if you were to compare micros to karts. So this is gonna be one of the bigger paydays. I think quite a few guys from down south, since Red Bluff's not racing, are gonna head up there. That's cool to see. I know Red Bluff and Cycland take a majority of the karts in California and even Southern Oregon, for rightfully so. They put on the best program. I mean, that's where you go to learn how to drive, but a lot of these other tracks are making effort to kind of get their foot in and try to get some cars, so hopefully a lot of people go up there and support. If you're unfamiliar with the Roseburg Indoor or you're new to my channel, I'll link a video in the description below. We won their last big race there. It was called the Winter Showdown. It was like a $500 payday. That was cool, and it's really similar to Red Bluff, but it's faster, a little bit more banked, and it's a lot colder actually up there because it's in Oregon. So it's gonna be cold this weekend, but we're gonna go up there and have fun. Now on to, what was your most memorable win? Now this took a second for me to think about because I was like, man, you know, we've won some pretty big races in karts, but mainly a lot of those have been in like the 250 division and stuff, and that still makes the wins cool. That is not discrediting those at all. But once you get out of those classes, it's not that you forget about any of that. You don't forget about it at all. But the open class, like a win at a weekly show at Red Bluff, in the open class tops like any win you could have in the younger classes. So I had to think about it. It's a toss-up between my first open win and my second open win, but that's because the second open win was at the Tyler Wolf Memorial, and that's just a big race at Red Bluff. It's one of the first of the season, and how we got it done. We passed Chase Hill with about 7 to go, a great battle we had there. So it's a toss-up. I'm not sure if I picked my first open win or my second open win at Red Bluff, but I'm gonna go with my second, the Tyler Wolf Memorial, because that was just a special win for me. All the circumstances that kind of played into it, with my car owner not being there that night, everyone's getting ready for the K-Cam Give Back Classic, and with, I guess you could say, a substitute crew chief, I had Jesse Caldwell on the wrenches. We put together the Super Tune, and we went out there and just killed it. So my second open win at Red Bluff is my biggest in karts.
White flag in the hand of flagman Johnny Miskell. Down the front straightaway one more time around, Elijah.
Tanner Holmes down the back straightaway. He's looking for the Tyler Wolf Memorial title. He'll get it off at turn number 4. Tanner Holmes is your winner. Chase Hill second.
My most memorable win in a sprint car, between all the limited races I've won, probably my favorite was my win at Banks because the track was awesome that night. We killed it on setup. And so even though my first sprint car win was awesome and I had some other ones, I don't know, the Banks one was probably just the most fun. Do you plan on running the Chili Bowl or the Tulsa Shootout? I'm hoping to get to go back to the Chili Bowl and just at least hang out, or the shootout. But it's not really looking like it. If there's a car owner out there or someone who has an open seat, I would love to hop in it. And with our current situation, obviously we don't own a micro, we don't own a midget. So our only kind of hope for me is someone has an open seat, maybe wants to throw me in the car. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We're not planning on renting a micro or renting a midget. That's just not really our thing, and we're not really in the position to do that because we're gonna focus on our 360 sprint car program. Where are you sitting in the Red Bluff Outlaw points? So in the open class, I'm sitting 5th. Despite our first 2 weeks, which were the roughest start I've ever had to a Red Bluff season in my career, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. We're only 11 points out of the lead. It's super, super close. I'm not gonna really go into detail explaining the Red Bluff points. I just decided to stop doing that. Don't like to even talk about points. But the first week, I was 15th in points after the first week. The second week, I moved up to 10th, and then after our win, I moved up to 5th. So we've gained 5 spots each week, and that just goes to show you how close it is, and people don't spread out too much there because it's weird. It's like when the first week people, they have good nights, then they have bad nights, and then the people in the back have good nights, and just how it's been this year, people have not spread out like they usually do in the past. So it's gonna be interesting to see when we come back from the break. Remember earlier when I said we had some interesting questions? This was an interesting one. Do you talk to yourself while you race? Answer is no, I do not talk to myself. I will say I have some conversations in my head with myself, kind of just like not sure what to do. Like there's been times on restarts where I'm like, do I run the bottom or do I run the top? Do I run the bottom or do I run the top? And I'm just going back and forth, what do I do? Or like, do I slide them here? Do I slide them, you know, kind of that kind of thing. But I do not verbally actually talk to myself in my car. Mainly, it's just like heated conversations in my head between myself and myself of what to do, and it's tough because a lot of those decisions can change a race like that. But that is gonna wrap up this Q&A. If you guys have any more questions, I'd be happy to answer them in the comment section down below. Man, ready to get back racing this weekend at Roseburg, $2,100 to win. A lot of cars are gonna be there. You're gonna see Johnny in the vlogs. We already got a little bet going. I've been talking to him and talking smack about, he said if he beats me, he gets some new merch, and I said, dude, I'm gonna be lapping you. So we'll see how that goes. So Johnny will be in the vlogs a little bit. We'll have a bunch of other fun people up there. Carly will be running. And overall, it's gonna be a cold weekend. So like I said, make sure you like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I'm gonna go watch the Hangtown 100 A main event, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Deuces.